to her brilliant best. At other times, it all got a little nervy for Fernandez, but I tell you what, she'd have taken that at the start of the match, a straight sets win against a tough opponent in Alexandra Eala. First set, on fire. Second.
On 5-2, you're playing an absolute perfect match, and suddenly you're down. Love 30 at 5-4. What changed?
Honestly, it's what my coach told me. I'd love 30, 5-4. He said, you know, she's not gonna go down easy, as you can see. So she's gonna fight. You're gonna have to take the match. So I was glad that I trusted him, and I just trusted the training that we've done. So happy to get the win here.
Overall, I thought you played an absolutely terrific match. How would you rate your performance from 1 to 10?
Oh, it was definitely a very, very high performance. I'd say a 7 out of 10. It was 8, 9 out of 10 until the 6-1-5-2. But, you know, there's always that little lapse of concentration. I'm just glad that I stayed positive as much as possible. And, of course, the crowd helped me. So, dankeschön.
You are a lefty, she's a lefty. You were playing in blue, she was playing in blue. You like to play fast, she likes to play fast. Was it almost like playing a mirror image of yourself?
Oh man, 100%. I mean, I remember watching her play a couple years back at the Rafa Nadal Academy, and she was playing super fast. And I remember telling my coach at the time, saying like, "Wow, she plays quick." Yeah. So it was like a mirror, because he said, "Look, it's exactly like you. So just enjoy, figure it out, and have fun."
We're talking about playing fast. Are you somebody that likes to do things fast on the court or generally in life?
Stop everything you are doing right now. Put your phone down. Close whatever tab you have open. Because what I am about to show you in the next few minutes is going to completely rewire the way you think about professional tennis, and more importantly, about what it truly costs a young athlete to chase greatness on the world stage. What happened today at the Stuttgart Open in Germany was not just a tennis match. It was a public execution. It was a brutal, unfiltered, soul-crushing breakdown of a teenage prodigy in front of thousands of screaming fans and millions of cameras. And the world watched every single second of it. But here is the question nobody is asking. Was this the worst moment of her career, or was this secretly the exact moment that makes her a future Grand Slam champion? Stay with me, because the answer is going to surprise you. Alexandra Eala. Remember that name. Burn it into your memory right now. The Filipino teenage sensation, one of the most hyped young prospects in women's tennis today, stepped onto that red clay court in Stuttgart carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation on her 17-year-old shoulders. She was called up as a last-minute replacement, thrown into the deep end of a prestigious, high-stakes indoor clay court tournament with zero time to mentally prepare. And waiting on the other side of the net was not just any opponent. Leylah Fernandez. Former US Open finalist, top 25 player in the world, a player who does not just win matches, she psychologically dismantles her opponents before the first game is even over. Now ask yourself this: what happens when you put a young, untested teenager on the worst surface of her career against a battle-hardened veteran who feeds on pressure like oxygen? You're about to find out. Before we even get to the match itself, you have to understand something critical that the mainstream media conveniently glossed over. Alexandra Eala's record on clay courts coming into this tournament was 5 wins and 13 losses. 5-13. On a surface that demands supernatural physical endurance, tactical patience, and an almost meditative mental calm. 3 things that take years and years of brutal repetition to develop. Red clay is unlike any other surface in tennis. It slows the ball down. It destroys your legs rally by rally. It drags you into these grinding, agonizing baseline wars that stretch on and on until one player mentally collapses. And Eala knew all of this walking onto that court. She knew her history on the dirt. She knew her weaknesses. And she walked out there anyway. That alone deserves enormous respect. But respect does not win you tennis matches. And Leylah Fernandez had absolutely no interest in being respectful today. From the very first rally, the difference in level was terrifying to watch. Fernandez was operating on a completely different frequency. She was taking the ball impossibly early, cutting off Eala's angles, robbing her of the one thing you desperately need to survive on clay: time. Every time Eala tried to set up for a shot, Fernandez was already at the ball before it even reached its peak. She was hitting through her. She was dominating the middle of the court. She was dictating every single point with a relentless aggression that felt more like a siege than a tennis match. And the worst part? There was absolutely nothing Eala could do about it. The first set did not just end. It evaporated. 6-1. In what felt like a blink. And here is where the story takes a turn that nobody was prepared for. The second set began, and for a brief, beautiful moment, Eala started to find something. A hint of rhythm. A couple of cleaner ground strokes. A few moments where you could see the competitor inside her refusing to quit. And every single person watching dared to think, maybe she is turning this around. Maybe this is the comeback story. Maybe the crowd is going to rise to their feet. But Fernandez had seen enough comebacks in her career to know exactly how to snuff one out. She tightened the vice. She attacked the second serve with even more aggression. She stepped inside the baseline on every short ball and punished it with a viciousness that was almost uncomfortable to watch. And before anyone could process what was happening, the scoreboard read 5-2 in favor of Fernandez. And that is when it happened. The moment that broke the internet. The broadcast camera zoomed in on Alexandra Eala's face. And what it captured in that split second was something that every single tennis fan around the world felt directly in their chest. Her features crumbled. Her eyes flooded with heavy, uncontrollable tears. She was crying. Right there on the baseline. In front of everyone. And the silence that fell over that stadium in that moment was one of the most haunting sounds in sports. Because those were not just the tears of someone losing a tennis match. Those were the tears of a young warrior who had given absolutely everything she had, her body, her mind, her heart, and still felt completely and utterly helpless. And right now I need you to really sit with that image. Because this is where the Real story begins. This is where you need to lean in. The casual fan watching from home sees the big prize money and the glamorous trophies and thinks professional tennis is a dream life. And yes, on the surface, it looks like one. But what nobody sees is the deafening silence of the locker room after a humiliating defeat. Nobody sees the long, lonely nights in foreign hotel rooms, thousands of miles from home, questioning everything. Nobody sees the crushing psychological weight of representing an entire country that expects you to be perfect every single time you step onto a tennis court. In a team sport, if you are having a terrible night, your teammates absorb the damage. Your point guard takes the ball. Your defense covers your mistakes. You can go to the bench and breathe. But in professional tennis, there is no bench. There is no timeout. There is no coach who can rush onto the court and save you. It is you, your racket, and a scoreboard that is mercilessly broadcasting your failures to the entire world in real time. That is the brutal, unforgiving reality that Alexandra Eala was living in that moment on the red clay of Stuttgart. And Leylah Fernandez, she showed zero mercy. Not because she is cruel, but because the WTA Tour is a survival game and sentimentality gets you eliminated. Fernandez has lived through her own devastating share of injuries, ranking collapses, and heartbreaking losses over the past few seasons. She knows better than anyone how fast the tennis world turns on you the moment you show weakness. She spotted the vulnerability in Eala's eyes and she pressed her foot directly onto the gas and she never lifted it. That is not ruthlessness. That is the cold, calculated elite mentality required to be a Grand Slam finalist. You do not apologize for exploiting your opponent's weaknesses. You attack them until the umpire calls the match. That is the law of professional tennis. And today, Fernandez executed that law to perfection. Full credit to her. Her tactical execution was a masterclass. But the story of this match does not belong to Leylah Fernandez. The story of this match belongs to the tears on Alexandra Eala's face, and what happens next because of them. Now I want to say something directly to every person on social media who is using this result to dismiss Alexandra Eala. Every person calling her soft, every person saying she is not ready, every person treating this loss like evidence that she does not belong at this level. You are making a catastrophic mistake in judgment. And here is why. Every single legend this sport has ever produced has been brought to their knees on clay before they learned how to conquer it. Rafael Nadal lost matches early in his career. Roger Federer was reduced to visible tears on the biggest stages in tennis. These were not signs of weakness. These were the mandatory, compulsory, absolutely unavoidable tuition fees of greatness. You cannot skip that chapter. You cannot develop the mental armor required to win Grand Slams without first experiencing the specific, surgical, soul-destroying pain of losing on them in front of the world. Alexandra Eala just paid a massive installment of that tuition today in Stuttgart. And she paid it in public. And that is going to make it burn so much deeper. And that burning, that is the fuel. Those tears that she shed on the red clay today are not a symbol of surrender. They are not evidence of fragility. They are the raw, unprocessed material that future champions are built from. Eala is going back to the practice court tomorrow morning. She is going to hit second serves until her arm is screaming. She is going to slide into corners until her shoes are destroyed. She is going to dissect every single point of this match, identify every tactical pattern that Fernandez used against her, and systematically build the answers. She is going to carry the memory of this specific, highly public, deeply humiliating breakdown with her into every single practice session until the burning transforms into something terrifying for the rest of the WTA Tour. That is not a prediction. That is a guarantee. Because the players who cry the hardest after the worst losses are almost always the same ones who come back the most dangerous. The pain has to be real for the transformation to be real. The match ended. Fernandez advanced. Absolutely fully deserved. Her footwork, her aggression, her tactical intelligence on that clay court were exceptional. But let us be completely clear about one thing. The defining story of today is not the Canadian moving to the next round. The defining story of today is the brutal, painful, irreversible lesson that a young Filipino fighter just absorbed at full speed with no protection. Professional tennis does not care about your potential. It does not care about your feelings. And it certainly does not care about your tears. Alexandra Eala walked directly into a Category 5 hurricane on a clay court in Germany today. And yes, she broke down. She cried in front of the world. She showed her humanity in the most raw and vulnerable way imaginable. But do not make the mistake of confusing vulnerability with defeat. Because tomorrow, Alexandra Eala will not be the one crying. Tomorrow, she will be the storm. And the rest of the WTA Tour had better be paying attention, because a wounded fighter who survives a hurricane and walks away standing is the most dangerous athlete in any sport. Mark these words carefully. You are watching the origin story of a future Grand Slam champion unfold in real time. And this brutal, heartbreaking day in Stuttgart? This is Chapter 1. If you felt that story in your chest and you respect the blood, the sweat, and every single tear that Alexandra Eala left on that red clay court today, destroy that like button right now to show her some support. Drop your most unfiltered prediction in the comments below. Does Eala come back from this and break into the top 10? How far does Fernandez go in this tournament? I want a massive debate happening in those comments right now. Hit subscribe and ring the notification bell because on this channel we go deeper than the scoreboard, deeper than the highlights, deeper than anything the mainstream tennis media is willing to touch. See you in the next one.